This video provides an overview of Recommendation 2 from the Using Technology to Support Postsecondary Student Learning Practice Guide. It includes a description of the recommendation and its implementation steps. Recommendation 2 advises postsecondary instructors that there is statistically significant evidence of benefit to using varied, personalized, and readily available digital resources to design and deliver instructional content. Students in blended, flipped, or online sections performed, on average, as well on academic achievement measures as their counterparts in traditional sections. There is also statistically significant evidence that blended accelerated instruction can improve credit accumulation, persistence, and content comprehension. The practice guide further describes this recommendation with two sub-recommendations. Recommendation 2A focuses on the format of entire courses. Varying and blending formats may preserve more class time for hands-on or other experiential activities, group assignments, and individualized instruction rather than for lecture. Alternate formats can also be used to accelerate instruction, for example, by allowing students to more quickly progress from developmental to credit-bearing courses. Recommendation 2B focuses on interventions that can be applied at either the course or the module level. Technology can be used to package content in multiple ways that minimize cost, help students access and study course materials, and accommodate different learning preferences. To support the implementation of these recommendations, the practice guide suggests 4 implementation steps. To help post-secondary instructors implement Recommendation 2A, vary, blend, and accelerate course formats, the practice guide suggests Step 1, 3, and 4. Implementation Step 1 is to leverage technology to vary the format for delivering courses. For example, in blended learning formats, online and in-person components, and blended together. This gives students the opportunity to learn content at their own pace and on their own time, and also interact with their instructors and peers both online and in person. Flipped classrooms are an example of a blended learning format where the bulk of content delivery is viewed by students before class, often in the form of recorded lectures, readings, and podcasts. Synchronous class time is then used for more interactive and social learning experiences, like group discussions or group problem solving. This model flips the traditional model of using class time for lecture and out-of-class time for processing. Implementation Step 3 from the practice guide is that when varying course formats or course packaging, instructors should clearly communicate expectations for what students should do during the course, specifically what they should do before, during, and after class sessions, and how their work using digital resources connects to other course assignments and grading. In addition to communicating the expectations clearly, instructors should also explicitly teach the technology to students first, before expecting that their students are able to use the technology to complete their learning assignments. Implementation Step 4 is to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of course formats and use of multimedia to deliver content. Instructors, department heads, and administrators share responsibility in monitoring and evaluating the effectiveness of the course formats and delivery modes used to engage and teach learners. To support post-secondary instructors with Recommendation 2B, package course content to minimize cost, maximize accessibility, and accommodate different learning preferences, the practice guide suggests Implementation Step 2, as well as Steps 3 and 4, which we just discussed. Implementation Step 2 is to plan instruction so that course content is carefully packaged and sequenced, and to use technology to scaffold students' acquisition and application of the content. Decisions about packaging course content are tightly tied to the specifics of the course content. For example, very complex material being introduced for the first time might be effectively delivered via an audio podcast with accompanying visuals, as opposed to an audio-only podcast. Packaging course content should also accommodate students' varied learning preferences by packaging the material in multiple formats and pathways. For example, an instructor can provide a reading, video, and podcast that all communicate the same content. Students can then choose which of the formats to consume that best meets their preferences for learning. Presenting materials in multiple ways can help students develop mental representations, reduce their cognitive load, and test their understanding of content. As with Recommendation 2A, when a new approach to content delivery is tried by an instructor, it is important to clearly communicate expectations to students about what they need to do during the course and then monitor the effectiveness of the instructional decisions. In addition to the recommendations and implementation steps, the practice guide also highlights 4 potential obstacles to using varied, personalized, and readily available digital resources to design and deliver instructional content. These are essential to be aware of and to proactively address. Instructors might find it difficult to design or adapt materials using new technologies, especially if administrators are unable to provide resources. Students' focus on the content of a lesson could be compromised if they are preoccupied learning how to use new technologies. Because technology affords students the opportunity to learn more on their own time, it might be difficult to quickly identify students who are not learning effectively. Some students might not be able to afford the devices needed to access education materials, a challenge often referred to as the digital divide. Other digital divide issues include students needing accommodations for accessibility or needing additional training to fluently use hardware, software, or the internet. During the synchronous session of this course, you'll spend time discussing these implementation steps and obstacles associated with using varied, personalized, and readily available digital resources to design and deliver instructional content. You'll also work collaboratively to collect advice for overcoming the obstacles posed in the practice guide. To prepare for these discussions, take a few minutes to reflect on your experiences using varied, personalized, and readily available digital resources to design and deliver instructional content. Are you facing any of the obstacles mentioned in the practice guide? What approaches have you tried thus far? Which have been the most effective? What else might you try? This document was prepared under Contract ED-IES-22-C-0009 by Regional Educational Laboratory Northwest, administered by WestEd. The content does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of IES or the U.S. Department of Education, nor does mention of trade names, commercial products, or organizations imply endorsement by the U.S. government.